Hello and welcome to today's video. It's that time of year, we're all doing these top fives lists, and I try and do a couple of different kind of lists every year. And instead of doing, my, top five inks of 2025 or something like that, I'm doing my top five inks of all time. These are inks primarily that I've used for a while, at least sort of like a good portion of this year, and have really sort of fallen in love with them, or they are inks that I have had in my collection for years and just keep coming back to. Now I have a number of swatches to show you today. Some of these are like highly commended, or a few others that are just there to like give you a sense as to what kind of inks I use, but I have a top five that fell into a pretty easy sort of top five order for me as well. Now, obviously, my list is going to be different to your list. These are inks I personally love. I also understand you will love different inks. I also understand that people look for different things in inks. People have different desires for the inks they use. This is mine. I favor brands that are widely available. I favor brands that are safe, that don't have weird properties to the ink. I don't love huge sheening. I don't love huge shimmer. Anything like that. I love inks that write really well, and there are a number of blue inks dotted amongst all of this. Blue is my sort of preferred sort of everyday writing ink color, and therefore I lean towards it a lot. Preferably sort of darker blues or blues with like interesting sort of color properties and things like that. So I want to hear what your favorite inks are as well, but just understand, if your favorite inks aren't on this list, doesn't mean I don't think they're good inks. If your favorite brand isn't represented here, there are a lot of brands that aren't represented here. As I said, I lean towards brands that are widely available, so brands I can go to my local stationery shop and buy, because that's what I want to be able to do, and that's when I run out, I want to be able to go and get it. I don't want to have to write to some retailer somewhere in Asia and beg them to send me a bottle because it hasn't been available in Australia for the last few years. I have done that in the past, and it's great, but it's not that convenient. There are a lot of brands I really want to explore over the next couple of years. There's been a lot of brands that have sort of popped up over the last few years, and they sort of come in and go, and we see that quite a lot. But as you'll see from my top five particularly, this is that they're inks from brands that are well established and they know what they're doing. The inks perform beautifully and they're great standard sort of colors. So to show you these inks, as I said, I've got them on colouring cards. I've got a couple of them inked in pens at the moment, so I'll do a little writing sample for you. But we're going to do that at the other camera angle, which let's head there now. Okay, let's look at some inks. The first three inks I want to show here today are like honourable mentions for specific reasons that they're not in the top five, but there's a good chance. So the first is obviously Lamy Dark Lilac. This is the 2016 special edition. You can see the colouring cards. A lot of these colouring cards, because they get handled all the time in hand oils and sweat and stuff, the ink kind of like reconstitutes on them and moves around a little bit, and you get little like smears and thumbprints and all that kind of stuff, but it does give you an idea of the colour. So Lamy Dark Lilac 2016, not the 2024, although I really like the 2024, but it's just not the same. Different sheen, slightly different sort of color base, but a really fantastic ink. And the reason this isn't in my list, where it's one of the inks I love the most, is literally because you can't get it. And when you do find it on places like eBay, for instance, it costs a small fortune. Next is another similar one, which is Mont Blanc JFK. This was one of my favorite dark blues. I never got a bottle of this. So I have a bottle of 2016 Dark Lilac, but I never got a bottle of JFK. I only ever got a handful of samples over about a year, and recently, actually, this year, finished my last sample of it. So I have no more of the JFK, but it was such a beautiful dark blue, and the pen that came with it is one of my favorite Mont Blanc pens. And then the other honorable mention today is Octopus Fluids Fountain Feeder Sheet Vetter, which means bad weather. You can watch the review of this. The reason this isn't in the top five is because it's relatively new to me. It was only this year, and I've really been using it a lot in the second half of this year. But it is such a great color, sort of like gray leaning aqua green. Just fantastic. Hints of blue through it and teals and things. Just so much depth and beautiful performance. And, you know, if I make this list again in the next couple of years, I would put money on this ink making its way into the top 5. But right now it comes in as an honorable mention just because it is new. Okay, the next honorable mentions are honorable mentions because they're just blacks. So I have Platinum Carbon Black and Lamy Black. Lamy Black is like one of my standard sort of easy go-to inks, that and something like Waterman Serenity Blue. If I need to work out how a pen performs or if I'm reviewing it, it's a really standard ink that I can sort of use and enjoy, and I know how it works, and I know it's safe, and I know it's easy to clean, and it's affordable, and it's widely available, and it's just a really solid ink, no water resistance, but solid ink that I can use every day. And then Platinum Carbon Black is a great waterproof ink. I use this, I have this almost always inked up in something like either a Platinum Preppy or, you know, like the ones I've had in a lot recently is the Muji polycarbonate, which is made by Platinum. And I use it for drawing, and I think it's a great ink for drawing because it holds tight. So if you want to use watercolors or inks, you know, for water, you know, sort of things on it, you easily can. But these are the 2 blacks I sort of tend to turn to the most. And now I just want to quickly run through a range of other favorite inks of mine, just to sort of give a sense of what I enjoy. Obviously blue, blacks, purples, and like earthy greens are my favorite sort of color families. And so I haven't tried to load it up too much with those, but give a bit of a broader sense. But we've got Robert Oster Great Southern Ocean, which is like a tealy light blue black. We've got a similar one from Akkerman, which is number 8 Deep June Water Blau, which is a little bit more vibrant, but absolutely beautiful. Diamine Kensington Blue, one of my favorite blues of all time. We've got Octopus Fluids Aubergine here, which is just a sensational ink. And Yamabudo here from Pilot Iroshizuku. That one speaks for itself. Aubergine, I think, is close to the most perfect purple ink, like proper purple on the market. Couple of greens. So we've got Robert Oster Eucalyptus Leaf, earthy green, beautiful performance, great on the page, great in any pen, super reliable. Mont Blanc Irish Green, probably the truest green that I use. I think it's just sensational ink color and performance. Those standard Mont Blanc inks are really very, very good. And then sort of the 3 brownie reds. So I've got Diamine Monaco Red, which is my favorite red. I consider this a red, even though it's got a very strong brown undertone. So if I want to use a red, most of the time I will lean to something like that. Then I've got Diamine 150th Anniversary Terracotta, which is just a beautiful, sensational ink that shades absolutely beautifully, and I really, really enjoy using that. And then Colorverse Atau, which is a little lighter here than Terracotta, but it's a, you know, sort of more orangey, sort of honey brown color, but with a sort of rusty red undertone. So these are 10 inks that like are absolutely stunning inks. I turn to all the time, love them all, but didn't quite make the top 5. So my top 5 is in what I consider to be order. And what I'm going to do is I have a trusty piece of, this is a Life Stationery Symphony notebook here. And I'm just going to show the color card and then do a little writing sample scribble with a pen I have inked with each of these. So first one, number 5, is Akkerman, number 13, Simplicities Violet. This ink is absolutely sensational. It also comes in one of the coolest bottles. It's got a little marble in the neck, so you can easily fill from any pen. Great bottle, great sort of size, and all of that kind of stuff. It's a beautiful, vibrant violet. As I said, something like Octopus Aubergine is close to my favorite purple. This is a little lighter, but gosh, it just looks fantastic. So yeah, I have this inked up here. So we have Akkerman, I should say number 5, Akkerman, number 13, Simplicities Violet. Just an absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, well-performing ink. Not inexpensive, but just absolutely sensational. If I'm going for a standard purple, this is the one I absolutely go to, probably 60-70% of the time. In 4th place is Pilot Iroshizuku tsuki-yo. Now, once again, this ink comes in a fantastic bottle. I love the Iroshizuku packaging, down to the box and everything, but the bottle here is really nice. Simple, clean label, gives an indication somewhat of the color, nice big, large opening dimple in the bottom there so you can get right down into the bottom of the bottle. Solid glass, looks great on your desk, and you know, does everything it should do, which is nice, coming seeing as though every ink bottle should kind of do what it should do. So this one, number 4 here today, is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsuki-yo. Beautiful tealy blue black. Like, I know it's not strictly a blue black, but I think it just has such a beautiful warmth to the blue that really lends itself to that sort of almost blue black kind of category. Just beautiful ink and lovely to write with. Number 3 is my favorite ink in this color family. It's blue black, and it is Diamine 1864 blue black. Comes in one of the coolest bottles. This is from the 150th anniversary series. This is my second bottle I've gone through of this ink. I just really love this ink, and this is one of those inks that looks great in any nib. So if the nib writes slightly drier, you get more of the purples and the grays coming through. If it writes quite wet, it almost looks black. So number 3 is Diamine. I'll just say 150th, 1864 blue black. Like, it's hard to fault this ink. It is quite a strong ink in terms of, you know, its performance on the page. So it doesn't love cheaper quality paper, but on paper like this, or on Clairefontaine or Tomo River or Rhodi or Midori, any of like those proper fountain pen friendly brands of paper, this ink looks amazing. You can see when I did the smear there, you get those purples and grays coming through, but where it's gone down nice and wet on the page from that Lamy 2000, it's writing really beautifully. I honestly don't think the top 2 on my list is going to come as a surprise to anybody. I have raved about both of these inks ad nauseum on this channel for years. Number 2 is Robert Oster Tranquility. This insanely beautiful aqua teal just shines and pops on any page you write on. You know, standard Robert Oster signature 50ml ink bottle here. You know, like, just absolutely fantastic. The ink performs beautifully. It looks great. And as an Australian myself, I had to have, in any of these lists, I try and include as much Australian content as I can, but this was a no-brainer. Robert's inks are beautiful, and this for me is the absolute pinnacle of them. So here at number 2, we have Robert Oster. Tranquility. So this is, as I said, a really lovely sort of aqua teal-y sort of color. Just beautiful. It's vibrant, it's rich, it's well saturated. On the right paper, in the right pen, you can get some like hits of sheen, like a halo sort of sheen, you know, just around the edges of where it pulls and things like that. Oh, but what a beautiful color. And I think genuinely a compliment to these other colors on the page. It's a little bit more vibrant. It's probably the brightest ink I use a lot. So yeah, Robert Oster Tranquility coming in at number 2. There are reviews of, if not all, most of these inks here on my channel. I'll link to them below. I think they're amazing. There's a reason why they're all in my top 5. Having tried over the years about 1,200 inks, so not too bad. And then, of course, number 1, was it never going to be anything else other than Diamine Oxford Blue. This is my absolute go-to every day. Just chuck it in my bag. Always have it in at least one pen. At the moment, it's in my wingback stainless steel fountain pen. It's been in this since, I want to say, June, I think. It's just such a beautiful ink. It performs well. It looks great on the page. It's affordable. You know, like, This is the 80ml bottle. It comes also in cartridges as well as the 30ml bottle. You can buy this size bottle, the 80ml bottle, in Australia for, generally speaking, around the $25 mark. So super affordable. Available online through a bunch of retailers, in a lot of pen stores. Diamine inks are beautifully made. They're safe. They're reliable. All of that kind of stuff. So it really was a no-brainer for this ink, Diamine Oxford Blue, to be number one today. So it's not a blue-black. It's not trying to be a blue-black. It's just trying to be a lovely, rich, dark blue. And it pulls that off beautifully. In the right pen, like if I write with this in the Lamy 2000 or something like that, which I've done a lot of, something a little bit sort of slightly wetter here than the wingback, you end up with something that almost reads as blue-black. In a slightly dry pen, this isn't a dry pen, I shouldn't say. Like, this is a beautifully tuned pen, but you know, as a sort of everyday carry pen that goes with me in my bag, I didn't want something super, super wet. And so, you know, this ink looks beautifully blue here. Dark, rich blue, navy, sort of distinguished and has great personality and all this kind of stuff, but a lovely, rich, dark blue. Going in reverse order, Diamine Oxford Blue, Robert Oster Tranquility, Diamine 1864 Blue Black, Pilot Iroshizuku Tsuki-yo, and Akkerman number 13 Simplicity's Violet. So as I said at the start, your favorite inks may not be on this list. That's totally fine. You may think there are too many blues here. Last time I made a top inks list for, I think it was the Diamine one, there are a lot of blues in it. I like blue ink. Like, that's my sort of go-to. That's my personal taste. Like, I'm not creating your favorite inks here. I made that video. I'll link to that one in the video description as well. This is my favorite inks. And so if there's inks here you're not familiar with, great. Go out and check them out. If not, you know, you've got a glimpse into my world. So that was my top 5 inks that I love in my collection. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, I'd love to hear from you. I also really do want to hear what your favorite inks are. I love exploring inks that I haven't looked at. I've got samples or bottles and, you know, swatches of well over sort of, I think it was, last count was something like 1,200 inks that I had tried. So, you know, like I have tried a lot of inks and a lot of different brands, but I'm keen to hear what your sort of favorites are and where you go with your collection. So enjoy your inks, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.